I'm Kim Purcell, and this is the Busy Writer Workshop. All right, you brainstormed your book, and you're like, I'm ready to write. No, you have 3 big decisions to make first: perspective, point of view, and verb tense. You're not alone if you get confused about perspective, point of view, and verb tense. Was I in past tense? Was I in present? What even is point of view? What are you talking about? Perspective is just who's telling the story. Is it the main character or one of the characters, or is it a narrator? Most books are told from the perspective of a single character, or it jumps from this character to that character. That's separate from point of view. Just think which character is most affected by the problem in the story, and maybe also who are you most connected to? Whose voice do you think you could really access? If you're going to do multiple perspectives, just make sure that every perspective, every voice is equally compelling. You could alternate chapters, but usually one character will be so much better. In fact, this just happened to me. I'm writing this book called Scorpion Sister. I was alternating between the younger sister's perspective and the older sister's perspective. I wrote the entire book, and I've just gotten rid of the older sister because it just wasn't as compelling. It won't hurt to try it out, but be ready to get rid of one perspective if it just doesn't work or you don't land that voice. Okay, now let's turn to the 5 different points of view. Number 1, the first and most popular one is first person point of view. That's when you use I or me. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of first person point of view. I'll give you The Sun by Jandy Nelson. This is how it all begins, with Zephyr and Fry, reigning neighborhood sociopaths, torpedoing after me and the whole forest floor shaking under my feet as I blast through air, trees, this white hot panic. You're going over, you pussy, Fry shouts. Then Zephyr's on me, has won both of my arms behind my back, and Fry grabs my sketch pad. I lunge for it, but I'm armless, helpless. I try to wiggle out of Zephyr's grasp. Can't. Try to blink them into moss. No, they're still themselves. 15-year-old boys who toss, living, breathing, 13-year-old people like me over cliffs for kicks. We get lots of personality, lots of voice, multi-sensory language, so just fabulous writing all around. Number 2, second most popular, third person limited. You're telling it from the body with the opinions and everything, but you're just sticking with one character and you use their name, she, he, or they. Some people ask me, well, if it's third person, I wouldn't be showing thoughts and feelings, right? Oh no, of course you do. In my first novel, Trafficked, I actually tried to do first person, and it didn't work because her native language would be Russian. And so I was using too many colloquialisms, slang words, and it ended up feeling not real. Whereas when I went to third person, I could think of, well, what expressions in Russian would I then use in English that would show how she sees the world? And it ended up working out way better. I wrote several drafts of this book. Here's the beginning. Hannah took 2 small steps forward in the immigration line entering America at LAX. She was in a large white room with a line for people like her and another line for people who belonged. The people who belonged laughed and slouched, wore clothes that fit their bodies, and smelt of milk, dry cleaning, and deodorant. The people who didn't belong stood upright unless they couldn't, wore dressier but older clothes, and smelt of body odor, hot sauce, fish, garlic, and cheap perfume. Let's turn to first person omniscient. So that's when you have a narrator out here, but they have a personality. We get their personal thoughts and opinions, and then we jump into the thoughts and ideas of everybody else. And they refer to themselves as I or me. I'm going to use The Book Thief because it's such a great example of it. First up is Something White, of the blinding kind. Some of you are most likely thinking that white is not really a color, and all of that tired sort of nonsense. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is. White is without a question a color. And personally, I don't think you want to argue with me. In this book, Death is the narrator, first person narrator, and dives into the heads of all different characters. Okay, so then in a little bit after this beginning, look at this. A few minutes later, Liesel's mother started leaving with the priest. She was thanking him for his performance of the ceremony. The girl, however, stayed. Her knees entered the ground. Her moment had arrived. Still in disbelief, she started to dig. He couldn't be dead. He couldn't be dead. He couldn't. Okay, so Death, the narrator, jumps into her brain. Most of the time we're with Liesel in this book, but occasionally he jumps into other people's heads. There's foreshadowing because only Death knows what's about to happen or what has happened. So it works really beautifully in this book. Number 4, omniscient, third person. That's a narrator, kind of like an author type voice, and they're jumping in the heads of everybody. Think Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. Mary wished to say something sensible, but knew not how. Okay, so we start in Mary's point of view. Mary wished to say something sensible. Then there's a little bit of talking. And then we get into the man's perspective. The astonishment of the ladies was just what he wished. That of Mrs. Bennet, perhaps surpassing the rest. So we're jumping heads. It's fine to jump heads if that's what you do all along, every few paragraphs. But if you're in one person's head for like a few pages and then we jump, it's jarring. The 5th one is second person. Pretty rare, hard to do. That's when the main character is you. You walk down the street, you see someone. It's basically the same as first person, except you don't say I, you say you. I'm going to give you an example of second person in which you is the main character. This is Damage by A.M. Jenkins. It's all yours. Your hands rise, fingers spread, ready to feel the firm scrape of the football, ready to pull it to you, ready to tuck it safely in. But the ball bumbles against your fingertips. It lurches away, and that beautiful spiraling pass ends its life in a series of ugly bounces across the field. Then there's just that football untended on the grass. Just that and your empty hands. When you open your eyes, the joyless feeling has already crawled into your chest. What is so effective about this is you are in this character's body and you're really feeling it. Like you imagine you're feeling these emotions. Highly recommend this book if you're thinking about second person POV. Now, verb tense. Okay, so whatever you choose for point of view, you want to remain consistent. Same with verb tense. If you used present, you want to stick with present. If you started with past, you want to stick with past. Don't start in present, then you jump to past, and then you jump back to present. It's so jarring. We're like, wait, what is that? Is that a memory? Oh no, that's the main storyline. Okay, now I'm confused. Think of your main storyline, and yes, if you're in present tense and you jump back, it would be past. Let's look at Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Nick's looking back at the moment his wife went missing. When I think of my wife, I always think of her head. So that is present tense. Then he riffs a bit on her head. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the past as he has a memory of the first day when she goes missing. My eyes flipped open at exactly 6 a.m. Past tense. In Amy's case, it's a journal. She tells the story in present tense. That just makes it more active. So it's your choice. Do you want to tell your stories in present tense or past? Now you know perspective, point of view, and verb tense. Let's play around with it a bit. If you're thinking about a couple different characters, you're not really sure who should tell the story, think of your first scene and write a page in this character's perspective, and then write a page in that character's perspective. What voice did you feel most connected with? All right, pick that one. For point of view, I recommend trying a couple different points of view. Try to write a scene in first person, then write it again in third person. Which one do you like better? Which one did you feel most connected with the character? Now, try it again with verb tense. Try it in present tense. Try it in past. Which one worked better? Which one flows? Which one came out of you more naturally? Okay, so pick that. Now remember, for this first draft, you've made some choices. So whatever you choose for point of view, you want to remain consistent. Stick with it for the whole draft. You can go back in the second draft and rewrite it from scratch. A POV switch is a rewrite from scratch. Same with verb tense. If you used present, you want to stick with present. If you started with past, you want to stick with past. Whatever you've decided to do, Stick with it. Don't start in present, then you jump to past, and then you jump back to present. It's so jarring. We're like, wait, what is that? Is that a memory? Don't be afraid to rewrite. Your first draft is not supposed to be your last draft. It'll be much better if you rewrite from scratch, okay? So don't take that first draft so seriously. Get to the end. Then you can rewrite it. That's what you're doing until you land on something that really resonates. Subscribe to my channel, comment, ask questions. I always answer them. I'd love to hear from you. Bye-bye. Happy writing.